Random troll guy says, a knife maker and he uses a Leatherman. What?
I love that question. I love that troll remark. I do use a Leatherman. I have had this type of Leatherman, the Leatherman Skeletal, on my pocket as my pocket knife since 2008 maybe. So was that 14 years, 15 years almost. I used to carry pocket knives. I had Kershaws and different pocket knives. When I was in grad school, I wanted to have something that was a little bit more versatile. I was, stretching canvases and doing things and hanging work, and I wanted pliers. And a buddy of mine had an older Leatherman, kind of the standard shape that you see, and it had a pocket clip on it so he could wear it in his pocket, which I thought was brilliant. And so I went online and I tried to find a Leatherman, that standard shape, which I liked, that just function over form shape. And at the time, there were no Leathermans that had the pocket clip except for the Skeletal, which is this. To me, this looked very kind of corner store knife. It was a little gimmicky, has like a little spacey looking, but it was the only one that had the pocket clip at the time. So I got it and fell in love with the form and the function, and I absolutely love it. I can wear it in my pocket because I don't like to have bulky things on me, so I didn't want to wear the Leatherman, the actual leather sheath that comes with a lot of those Leathermans. So that's why I always wear this. And it's 4 tools in one. It's not so much, not like some of the Leathermans that have like tons of tools. This is a knife, pliers, 2 sides of a flathead and 2 sides of a Phillips head screwdriver, and it's got a bottle opener. Can't beat that in the pocket clip. It'll stay in my pocket forever.
Is that the original one you bought? Or?
No, this is not. This might be my 3rd edition of this, 3rd iteration. One time flying, I had it with me, and I lost it going through security. Also one time at maybe at a Ravens game, at a football game or something, I walked in and had it with me and couldn't bring it in, didn't feel like walking back to the car. This one I've had for a bunch of years now. I actually, there's a flat spot here on the back side of the blade, and I etched into it 1/4 inch marks, so it has a ruler on it. And this one, I lent it to a friend of mine to use, and he came back to me and said, "I broke your Leatherman." I was like, ah, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, "No, I really did." And he handed it to me, and one of the jaws had snapped off. So I sent it back to Leatherman, and they fixed it and sent it back to me for free. And when you send a Leatherman back, they want you to check off if it has sentimental value. So they'll try to fix it before they replace it. And I didn't mark it off as sentimental value, so I assumed that they would just send me a new one. But they fixed it and sent it back because it still has the scratch marks on it for my measuring, which I love. So this is the one I've had for a while.
About how much?
I think they're like, they used to be 75, 80 bucks, something like that. I think they're now a little bit over 100 if you want to get a new one. But there are a lot of them that you can buy that are refurbished, or people sell them on eBay as well. So, and you can often find sales at different places. So I think you probably usually find them. I have seen them as low as like $45 or $50. So if you see a sale and you want one, grab it when you see it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Art of Craftsmanship. My name's Dustin, and today in the shop, we're going to be answering the 5 best questions of the week. Devin's going to ask me some questions, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And at the end, I'll do a little bit of a show and tell. Let's get started.
From the Making a Bushcraft Axe video, Zazin Fook says, when the axe head wasn't sitting proper and tilting, where do you file to bring it back in line?
When you are hanging an axe head, what he's talking about is the axe head was tilting either to the left or to the right. It wasn't sitting straight up and down. It could have also been referencing, tipping forward or tipping back. But I think what he was considering, what he's referencing, was how it's leaning left to right. Now, when you are shaping the eye, or you're shaping the top of your axe handle, and your axe head's on here, and it's sitting this way, if it's hanging off to the side, then you need to remove material on the opposite side, because then it can sit down in that spot. So if it is leaning, it's because there's more material on the opposite side of its lean. So if it's leaning to the right, from your point of view, then you need to remove some material on the left bottom so it can sit down in that hole that you've now created. If it's leaning left, the opposite direction. So when you are trying to align that axe and you do not want it to tip left or right, you have to remove material on the opposite side of the lean. So that's what you want to do. You want to work the opposite side below it to bring that edge down, because it's following the inside of the wood. So if it's sitting this way, it's because the wood is leaning this way. So you remove material here and it'll bring it back.
From the Osage Bow video, Tyler Isbell says, is there really any reason to skip 5 other rings to get to the one you like? Would any of the other 5 work on their own?
Yes. So Tyler's talking about when you're chasing a growth ring on an Osage stave. There are layers of growth rings, right, inside of a tree. The idea is to choose one that is big and clean and has it's very defined, because it's a lot easier to chase that growth ring. So when you're using the draw knife and you're trying to take away all the material down to that one growth ring, you want to find a nice thick one that's really easy to see and easy to chase, because chasing a growth ring is not that easy. So really you have to be able to kind of stay focused and make sure that you're not cutting down too deep into the growth ring and going to the growth ring below it. And it's a lot easier to do that when you have a really good ring. So when I'm looking at the rings on the end of a stave, I'm looking for a nice fat ring that has a lot of material, so that way when I'm chasing it, I can cut down into it.
From the Making 3 Knife Sheaths 21 Essential Steps to Follow video, Bastian asked, after dyeing the inside of the sheath, the dye rubs off onto light-colored knife handle material. Does anyone have a way to avoid this color transfer problem?
I haven't really thought about that as an issue. Haven't really had that issue. The one thing I can say is that I have the bone handle knife that I made for my daughter, and that has changed color inside the sheath. I don't know if that's from the dye. It may have been from the dye. But there are lots of different types of chemicals and finishes that you can add onto leather to seal it. So when you make a leather sheath, you usually will do your dyeing and everything first before you attach it together. Sometimes you'll do different chemical or products to finish it, and you can use waxes and conditioners and oils to protect that leather. I've seen people use burnishing agents as well, so you can kind of put this burnishing agent on the leather and then burnish it, so it kind of locks all the fibers together. So that might be your best bet. That, and also maybe doing some type of wax finishing, so you can like dip a leather sheath completely in wax and get a wax finish, so it's coating everything in wax, and that helps to waterproof the leather. But I would think that would also do a pretty good job of protecting your lighter colored knife handle material from the dye.
From the Maker Camp questions, wit and wisdom. We never got your answers, so
No.
To you, Dustin, what is a maker?
A maker is someone who has an idea that they want to bring to life. I think someone who can take an idea and make it into something is a maker. So whether that is making it into something physical, like something crafted, or taking an idea and making it into writing out a story or producing a video, I think a maker is someone who's taking an idea and taking that original thought and making it into something that wasn't there before. I think that can qualify as like tool restorers, people who they're not necessarily putting something new into the world, but they're bringing something back to life. They're seeing its use, and they're taking this idea of this thing that has been set aside and is misused, they restore it back to life. I think those can be makers, but I really think it's someone who has like an original idea, and you're taking that thought or that idea and putting it into making it real, making it into real life. So you have your own perspective on something and making that perspective a real thing.
If you could meet a maker, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would Dick Prenicky. He made an amazing, documented his life in journals and videos in Alaska and built a cabin. He just had a complete DIY maker mindset. He was, completely self-reliant, made all of his stuff, but he also was a realist. He he brought along metal tools, but he made his own handles. He used like plastic sheeting on his roof because he knew that it would keep out the rain the best. So he was a realistic maker, but he was also self-reliant. And he loved nature and wanted to, be part of it and express himself with what he made. And he was just doing something that was purely functional, but in that function was its form, was its beauty. And I think that's something that I love about making, and that's my aesthetic. I love doing things that look a certain way. They're beautiful because of their function. So it's something that's perfectly made or perfectly designed or really good, maybe not perfect, but done in a way that really shows its purpose, its function in a way that accentuates its form. All right, this is my show and tell for today. This is a folding draw knife. I picked this up recently. Again, one of these things, I'm always looking for interesting videos, which sometimes is a little problematic because I get something like this and I'm super excited about it and I want to make it and restore it right away, but then I have to wait and make time for it at some point. So this is one of those projects. I picked this up recently at Maker Camp. With this, you loosen the wing nuts on the side and then you can tighten them back down. They have a really cool locking system where it's some like indents and then bumps on the sides. That way, once you lock it, it stays in place. So this is a folding draw knife. You can change it like that. This can also be adjusted to be all the way open if you want to do it like this, which it works well for if you're doing really big logs. If you're taking bark off of big logs, which usually if people are doing that, they use straight handle draw knives. So it can be set in a few different orientations, and it could also be the other way around as well with the handles up. But this way it gives you like big if you're working across the surface of something large.
Do you think it was meant to be a travel thing, or was it meant to be an adjustable position thing?
That's a good question. I think it's probably both. I think that like a lot of tools that were designed to go inside of toolboxes, it may have been more, an economy of space to have it fold up. So you could kind of fold it away and then it would fit inside of a toolbox. So you don't have to make your toolboxes really big, like something like a mallet like this that you can remove the head from the handle so that can fit inside of a toolbox like this. So you can have these two things inside here to shape, and that way everything fits inside. That's why you have these removable heads for mallets. But I think that is probably one of the reasons why, was to have it that way. Also, the handles of this have a slot so it actually protects the blade, which I think is another nice detail to this, that once you close it up, it protects the blade and could just keep it sharp to protect you from it. But I think also it's just the versatility. I think being able to change it and put it in different positions gave it some versatility. So there you go. Folding draw knife. It's a really beautiful one. And this will be in a future video.
How much did you pick it up for?
It has 25 on it, and I think I paid 25. Maybe I paid 20. I asked them, I think I asked the guy if they'd take 20, and they said yes. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. This has been a blast. I really enjoy answering these questions. It's a really fun way to connect with our viewers. If you have a question, something that you have been thinking about and you want to answer, you can comment down below. We'll take a look at those questions, as well as questions that come in on all of our videos, and we'll pick a few to do each week. If you want to hear more of this type of content, questions between Devin and I and hearing us talk, you can listen to our podcast, the Art of Craftsmanship podcast, which comes out every Friday. And also, if you definitely want your questions to be answered, head over to patreon.com/The Art of Craftsmanship and become a patron and leave us a comment or question there, and we'll absolutely get those into future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.